Hello, welcome back to the Irish Seahawks show. Daragh here with you. I finally have Al on the show here, fellow Seahawks fan. So I am delighted to have you here. Don't worry about it, Al, about missing the last few shows. I'm absolutely done. Hopefully, you're going to be my good luck charm heading into the rest of the season. I'm hoping that. But I am sorry, delighted to say we are because it's back to under center stuff. We're done with NFL stuff. It's Seahawks stuff right now. Only Seahawks stuff right now. Before we get into it, if you want to follow us on the show, you follow myself at Seahawks IRE. You can follow Al at Al McGrath _ as well. So that's if you want to find their tirades about Seahawks and going absolutely mad mid-game, they are the place to follow us on that. If you are watching us on YouTube and you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get this sort of team-specific content off the ground and hope to bring you more and more content. And the more subscribers we get, the more views we get, the easier it's going to be to get guests on too as well. Get some great interviews there for you. I've already been lucky enough to have Dana O'Gorman from Hawk Blogger and from Arthur Football on to chat when we looked ahead to the Bills game a couple of weeks ago. We just need the subs. We get up to 1,000 hopefully, and then we can start really getting some proper guests on as well. Very lucky before to have some great Seahawks beat writers and Seahawks content creators on too. We want to continue that. But Al, I guess actually we'll give it a brief oversight. If you didn't know already, of course, the Seahawks are 4-5 after their fifth defeat in 6 games, losing in overtime 26-20 to the LA Rams. It means that they are also 0-2 in the NFC West and currently sit bottom of the division heading into their bye week. We are going to be getting into 2 good and 2 bad from the game. So each of us have one good thing from the game. Each of us have one bad thing from the game that we're going to speak about a little more in depth. But Al, since it is your first time proper on the Irish Seahawks show this season, your brief thoughts on the season overall so far.
It sucks to start the season off like this. You know, we had such high hopes because, you know, we do have talent there in the team, like on both sides of the ball. We should be better than we are. But I'm not exactly surprised that it's going the way it is. You know, it's easy to just look at the talent and say we should be better than this. But, you know, I said it before the season. I wouldn't be surprised if we went like, you know, with 2 wins for the whole season. Because when you have more or less a completely new coaching staff on both sides of the ball, new head coach, new schemes on both sides of the ball, that takes time. That takes a lot of time. It takes more time than one off season. It takes more than a whole season to get all that stuff in place. And then you have Ryan Grubb, who is not an NFL coach. I mean, he is, obviously, but, you know, he's still adjusting. He's still figuring out what doesn't work, you know, on offense in the NFL, because NFL defenses are completely different to college defenses. You know, the worst NFL defense would probably make a show of most, if not all, college offenses. So that takes time. In theory, you know, you think like, oh, you know, it's easy to figure out what works and doesn't work in the NFL, but that kind of stuff takes a lot of time, and especially for someone like Grubb who has never coached in the NFL. So it's not a surprise, but I don't like it. It's not fun to watch these games, you know, and it's just stupid mistakes, like just shooting yourself in the foot. Like we could have won that game, you know, easy. Take away one of those picks, and well, we probably win that game, or any other number of. You're muted.
I was going to say, sorry, give us back the missed extra point, and we would have won that game.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, this is going to be what this season is. Unfortunately, I was hoping it wouldn't be, but this is what it's going to be, is just this team figuring itself out, figuring out how to do things, figuring out what does and doesn't work. And even like next year, I would imagine there's going to be a lot of turnover in the roster again next year. So it might be, a similar story. Not the same, I think, obviously, next year, given more time in the system, everyone's settled in, different players in the roster. I think it's obviously going to be better next year. But again, I think, while McDonald is building up his vision of the team, it could be 2 seasons of this. Pete Carroll went 7 wins, 7-10 in his first 2 seasons. It's easy to remember all the winning seasons, but Pete Carroll's first 2 seasons were not good, and he was just building, his vision of the team. And then in his 3rd season, it obviously took off. So it takes time. It's going to be hard to be patient with it, but you can't just write the whole thing off after half a season.
No, you're totally right. And this is the thing. This is the first half a year of a 6-year contract for Mike Macdonald. So this is this is never going to be season 1, we're winning it all. Because if that was the case, if the roster was in that place at the moment, they never would have got rid of Pete Carroll. So this roster needs work. It needs a lot of work. It needs work in areas that, John Schneider, unfortunately, is getting beaten with a stick with comments that he's made before in terms of the O-line. And I think they're making moves as the season has gone on to address, the trenches, and they're obviously focusing on defense first with getting the likes of, Robertson Harris or Ray Robertson.
Yeah,
Jones?
I can't remember his name.
Yes, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and getting Ernest Jones in as well.
Yeah,
So they've seen that, either on the line or close to the line, just off it, that they need to improve, and they have. Now we'll see what sort of contract Ernest Jones is going to ask for, and it's a similar situation to where we were with Leonard Williams last year in terms of it was a 6-month rental. You're going to have to pay him if you want to keep him from now on. Obviously, no problem paying Leonard last year. The production so far from Ernest this year means that I would not be upset to pay him. I think linebacker is a place where you can put money into. Previous seasons, we've been putting money into places where we shouldn't have. Even this year, we put money into places we shouldn't have. We've been putting money into tight ends that we don't really involve enough. Previous season, we put money into safeties that we're still paying off the debt from this year. I think that's a very underrated thing that hasn't been talked about a lot around Seahawks, social media and media things, that, there's a lot of dead cap this year that the Seahawks are having to take on because of letting big contracts go with the likes of Diggs and Adams. So, we're not exactly in the worst position. We're not a Dallas. We're not a Browns where all of our money is tied in quarterbacks that we know aren't it. We have flexibility to if it's in the draft next year, if it's in free agency next year, to sort of build the trenches the way we want.
Yeah. I was going to make a point there and I've completely forgotten. But I mean, it's just this stuff takes time with what they want to do. It's a process. It's going to be a painful process, and especially now, like what you were saying, with John Schneider's comments on the offensive line, with the interior getting overdrafted and overpaid, which is just clearly wrong. And this is the perfect season. If he doesn't get it now, then I mean, he's just not paying attention. If he doesn't see our guards, performing the way they are.
And look, listen, he obviously he let Damian Lewis go because he didn't want to pay him that money, and I do agree with him in that sense. But you obviously felt you could get something in the draft with Christian Haynes, and if he's a game days, healthy scratch, there's concerns there, and there's concerns about his scouting network that are going to have to be questioned in the offseason. But listen, we'll get into that later on as the season goes on. Let's get into the game at the weekend. Like I mentioned, 26-20 against the Rams in overtime. A game that this, a lot of negativity just as the game was finished. And as the days have gone on, you get to reevaluate and maybe rewatch the game and see like what they were able to do. So we're going, like I said, we're going to pick out two good, two bad. We each have one good and one bad to speak about a certain aspect of the game. Let's start on the positive, Al. Okay, and since you're your first show, I'm going to give you the opportunity to go first. Your good thing, I guess we'll say, until we get a better name for it. Your good thing from the game on Sunday you want to speak about.
I was looking for a few specific things to talk about. But I thought I'd go a bit more general because it was actually really good to see, which is the run defense.
Mm-hmm.
The defense as a whole didn't look amazing. The pressure wasn't getting there as much as you'd like, the pass defense. But that run defense is actually a huge step forward, given the previous weeks of what we've seen. It was just, the offenses did whatever they want, and to see that growth there, at least, it was still a painful loss. Still, having that passes on us, don't want to see that. But the run defense was really solid. Tyrod Dodson, Ernest Jones had good games. Byron Murphy had a really nice game. The stats won't show a lot of what he did, but he had a really nice game along with Leonard Williams and the rest of the defensive line. I thought that was important. A lot of people are kind of glossing that over. They still passed for, what was it, like 228 yards, which is not the most, in fairness.
298.
298. Which, that's pretty standard for like a good passing game. Like, we didn't get, completely annihilated. But it's not what you want to see.
Well, they picked on Reek Woolen that game. I know he had the interception. He should have maybe had two more.
Yeah.
But they picked on him with that game. And
he woke up. He woke up on Sunday with cinder blocks on his feet. Multiple times, he was just caught completely off guard by moves. It was painful to watch because he has been good this year. It was surprising to see because he has been, he hasn't been getting cut off by stuff like that. But it's the Rams. Death, taxes, and the Rams giving the Seahawks problems.
Yeah. It didn't matter about the change of head coach. Sean McVay still owns a majority stake in the Seattle Seahawks.
Even what's his name? Rex Ryan? Even his fucking terrible team. Not Rex Ryan. Was it?
Jeff Fisher?
Jeff Fisher. Even Jeff Fisher's shit heap of a Rams team gave the Seahawks problems every single year. So
yeah,
it's a curse. But
but look, we should be talking positively. This is good part now here. Back to the positivity side of the defense on Sunday.
It was really good to see that run defense step up and solidify. And they only got 68 yards on the day, which is really good. Any sub 100-yard day, given what they've been giving up, is really good. So I really like to see that.
Absolutely. And like that, the defense only conceded 13 points in the whole game. Well, sorry, before overtime. They obviously conceded the touchdown then at the end too. But, for all the worry we had going into the game, and, we talked about it in their group chat too before, like, I envisioned Kerryon Williams going for well over 150 yards in that game, running all over the Seahawks, and then Matt Stafford using the play action game to find either Puka or Cooper Kupp, and for them to absolutely destroy the Seahawks from what we've seen the previous weeks defensively. And to see how aggressive he came from the first series, I think it was the four offensive series in a row from the Rams that they came to nothing, absolutely nothing, and which was huge, considering in one of those series they had a positive field advantage after the first Geno interception. So Yeah, I think what they've done now, and the fact that hopefully they have 2 weeks to improve on that and to get
Yeah,
guys a little more healthy, and hopefully, well, in terms of defense, not missing too many at the moment. Kind of all right. The
they
only
are a
real
little
serious,
banged up though.
a
Like
little,
they're playing, they're healthy, but they're
yeah, but you're getting to a point in the season where no one is fully healthy. Everyone has something,
yeah, exactly.
but I think Chenna is the only long-term injury that they have there at the moment anyway.
Yeah.
So that is still
He's got
positive.
another. Actually, he's eligible after this week, isn't he?
No, because we don't have a game this week, so he has to miss the 49ers game.
Oh yeah, the boy doesn't count,
Yeah,
obviously, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he would have to definitely. That's if he's ready. We don't know if he's ready, because
Yeah,
we've seen him come off IR already in the last half a game. Is that actually something? And this actually wasn't something I was going to initially bring up, but is there a question mark to be asked about the medical staff in the
yes,
Seahawks?
the medical staff and the strength and
Because
conditioning
yes,
staff.
because
Injuries are a thing every year.
yes, but
Yes.
in terms of them giving the okay to come back, because Chenna came back too soon, lasted I think a quarter and a bit, is gone. George Fant this week lasted less than a quarter, was clearly rushed back, and
Yeah.
now looks like is probably gone.
Yeah.
Is there, are we going to rush Abe Lucas back now because they don't want to put, and I understand why they won't want to do this, but they don't want to put Mike Jarrell up against Nick Bosa there not next week, but the
Yeah.
week after in the 49ers.
Yeah, it's a good question. Um because that's coaching as well. Like it's not just the medical staff. Like Mike McDonald signs off on that. Mike McDonald says, "Yes, I agree. He's ready. He's going back in the lineup."
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, like twice as too many times. Once, okay, we made a mistake. We thought he was ready. He clearly wasn't. We have to do better. But like to have it happen twice in such a short period of time when
Yeah.
players are clearly not ready to return, um, yeah, I would start asking some questions. I hope they realize now they've had two players return and they've had two players immediately go back out. I
That's
hope
the
they
thing.
realize
And,
now.
and yeah, I think that obviously the buy is coming at the best time for them in terms of
Yeah.
that. You know, is there a worry with DK? Are they going to rush him back too soon? But I hope not. It said
Well, he
by everything Mike McDonald was saying, he looks like he was going to come back. He could have came back maybe Sunday, but they said no,
yeah.
take the buy.
In fairness, he didn't need to.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, true. That's actually a great segue.
yeah.
Oh, Al, it's like we planned these things. It's brilliant. Into my good for the Rams game, and that was JSN's breakout game. 7 catches, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. He should have had 250 yards because 70 yards were
Yeah.
taken off because of penalties
Mm-hmm.
to the O line, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit in a little bit. But we haven't seen a 100-yard game from JSN since the Patriots game. We thought when that Patriots performance happened, this was going to be the start of his breakout season, where he's going to, become the de facto second receiver behind DK. But then the next few weeks, it's not been bad. 50, 60, 70-yard games are definitely nothing to throw your nose up at, but it didn't have the touchdown scores at the end of it. It didn't have those 100-yard games. It didn't seem like he was as involved as we would have hoped he would be. And considering he had 13 targets as well on Sunday too, with 7 of them caught, and the fact that he was able to have that interception in the first quarter, which he hold up his hand, it was on him, hit off his chest, it was intercepted, and for him to be able to come back and then have the game that he did, basically take over that game and be the reason the Seahawks still actually had a chance to win it.
Yeah.
It was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. What a breakout game. Like, I would have expected, like, he was going to be very good, but I wouldn't have expected quite a game like that. Like, as you said, he should have had 250 yards. Like, I don't think I don't think a lot of people understand how big a number that is. Sometimes a receiver will get 200 yards, sometimes, and that's a huge game. When DK got 177 yards against the Eagles, we all lost our minds. Like, oh my God, 177 yards. But to get, to unofficially get 250 yards, that is an insane number for a wide receiver to put up. He is definitely living up to his college production. He had some real good games there. He had a 300-yard game against someone in college. And that was with the likes of Garrett Wilson and co there in that team. So yeah, really, really encouraging, and doubly so because I've been afraid. Oh God, he's kind of sitting there in the background, and Tyler Lockett's getting on there. Whether or not he's cut by McDonald, I don't think he will, but you never know. Or he decides to retire in 2025 and go after his real estate business that he has.
Yeah,
I am much more comfortable now with the possibility, either of those possibilities, where Tyler Lockett is not in the team next year.
Mm-hmm.
If JSN can look like that.
Yeah. Just as a side note, are you worried about Jake Bobo?
No, I mean,
no.
He was never like, he's fine. He's a role player, but he's never going to be that guy. And I'm doubly not worried about him because Cody White had a nice game.
But see, I'm not saying worried about Jake Bobo in terms of him taking a step up and being the replacement for Lockett. I mean that in terms of his standing in the team, we already knew he was kind of the fourth receiver, you could say, on the depth chart. But with DK out the last few weeks, you would have thought obviously he would have been elevated to third receiver. But it seems unless his relationship with Gino is not great, but he has not seen any production. Like I think he had one target on Sunday and he didn't catch it. He wasn't targeted much at all in that game, where you think these are the games for him to try and make those moves to be let's be real about it, because to make that move to be the third receiver to nail a roster spot for next year, because there is no guarantee that he won't be an end of season goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, like in a way, because like he has the potential there, and he can do those things. He can fill in, he can take those snaps. The fact that he isn't, or at least isn't getting the targets, I know he's getting some playing time. It doesn't worry me a ton at the moment. If he goes the rest of the season with 2 or 3 more targets, then something's gone on there. But for now, it's he's fourth string at best. He's a role player. He plays his role. And we've seen now with a couple of injuries or a couple of players just not playing that well, that Mike McDonald isn't afraid to rotate players like Josh Jobe or Cody White in to take those snaps off people who weren't performing. So maybe he's just not performing, and there's a reduce in snaps there. So I wouldn't say I'm worried about it, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Okay. Let's get on to the bad then. I'll go first on the bad because I know your one is kind of a more broader aspect, but my bad that I want to speak about is a more specific sort of part of the game, and that was the overtime call. There was the overtime fourth down call that I had the issue with. Not with them going for it. I didn't mind them going for it. The problem that I had was the choice of play call. So they wanted to go in the jumbo package with the extra lineman on. Obviously, they want to try and run for that fourth and whatever less than a yard is. I don't have a problem with that. But what I did have a problem is normally I wouldn't. Sorry, I have a problem with it. But two issues that arose in that was first thing the Rams saw what you were going to do, called the timeout. You shouldn't have kept that same play in there because the Rams just brought in more big bodies to try and fight that.
Yeah.
The second issue that I had in it, why are you relying on the worst part of your offense to get you a yard when you need it most in the offensive line, and also relying on guys who were deemed not good enough to start on the worst part of your offense as well, bringing in extra of them to think that they'll do something.
Yeah.
It boggled my mind that they went for that. I would have even settled for that. You know, that stupid like fourth down play they went for against the Giants where it went absolutely nowhere, got blown up straight away, and
Yeah.
I think Dexter Lawrence like sacked Gino like straight away because he went in unblocked with whatever the play call was. But even a quarterback sneak, a quick quarterback sneak might have been a better thing. But yeah, it's just like, where was the game awareness by either Ryan Grubb, and I'm going to put it on Mike McDonald here as well, because he should have been able to veto it and say, don't put the fate of this game, and don't put like whether or not we're going to win or lose this game in the hands of the part of our team that is underperforming the most in the offensive line. That just seemed idiotic to me.
Yeah, it was poor. It was really frustrating because like there's so many other ways they could have, gone about that, and they just decided, no, we'll just run it directly at the worst part of our team and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And especially like the Rams defensive line, they're not slouches. They got 7 fucking sacks on the day. When a team gets
Anthony
7
Bradford
sacks,
was at fault for 6 of them.
Yeah, when you're just getting bullied like that, you can't just say, maybe this time it'll work with the game on the line. I was so confused. Like, just try anything. Try a screen, a jet sweep, a quick pass, a dig, something, some sort of motion. Don't just run it. Try an outside zone or something like that. Don't just run it at the worst part of your team. Your guards are big boys. They can run a bit of zone, and in the small amount of snaps they have run zone, they're not bad at it. They're not great at it, but they can get a fucking yard. It just fourth and game on the line with a yard to go, and you do that. That's just, I couldn't get my head around that. I just sat there like, what? I couldn't. It was poor, and I get it. It's not an easy thing to play call. It's easy to sit here and say like, oh yeah, that was stupid, but when you're calling those plays in that moment, I know it's hard, or I know it must be hard, but still, you got to know better than that. You got to be able to look at your roster and be like, all right, they're fucking shit. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep it away from them with the game on the line.
Exactly. At least they did try to run to the left side and not try and run to the right. I guess that's one positive.
Maybe they.
Go ahead. Go on.
Maybe they did recognize, but just not enough. How bad it was.
Al, what's your one bad thing from the game on Sunday?
Well, that's it's the offensive line. Again, I tried to find I was gonna say like, oh, Gino throwing 3 picks, but there's a bit of gray area there. There was stuff that went on there. You can make some excuses, not for that second one. That was fucking stupid, but but it's the offensive line. Like not just the play, but the whole scheming of the protection. Like You know, you have Charles Cross here on a fucking island on almost every snap. Like, absolutely no help. You know, he should be able to handle these things, but sometimes he's getting, you know, having to take care of two rushers, and, you know, Tomlinson and Bradford are worthless. So, you know, and then, yeah, Tomlinson and Bradford are worthless. I can't stand to see them play. And Haynes must be awful. Like, we've seen he's pretty bad. But to keep Bradford out there and have Haynes as a healthy scratch, Haynes must be the worst player in the NFL. I can't fathom. And then, like, Jarrell has been playing admirably for a 6th round rookie tackle, but he's not good enough.
He's trying.
He's trying.
He's trying. Yeah.
He was never going to be good enough. You know, you can understand that. You know, they're real thin there, but the whole thing, and even Mike Williams, he made some stupid mistakes, and he wasn't brilliant.
Who?
Connor Williams. Connor Williams. What did I say? It's getting mixed up.
We're talking about Mike Williams getting traded on the other show. That's why it's on your head. It's in your head. It's in your head. It's all right.
Yeah, he made some silly decisions, and then he fumbled the snap, and then he stood in Gino's foot last week, and it's the whole thing is just ugly. And you can blame Gino all you want, and he deserves, you know, his share of the blame pie, but it's the offensive line is the problem with this offense. Mm-hmm. Full stop.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop.
Yeah, I kind of got frustrated, especially in the second half, that, you know, when the Seahawks were chasing the game, they obviously were in pass first mode. They sort of abandoned the run. So it meant that the defenders could pin their ears back a little bit. And what got me was the total right side of the line was being destroyed either by Jared Verse or Brandon Fisk in every play, every single play. And poor Mike Jarrell had no answer for Jared Verse at all. And what pissed me off about it was that they never thought about putting any extra protection in there for him. Putting a tight end beside him, just put someone in there. Put Farrell Brown in there beside him, just to help. Just to give Gino that extra half a second.
At this point, fuck wide receivers. Just play 12 and 22 personnel. That's it.
It doesn't even need it.
Do that.
Hell, if you want to run your jumbo package for every offensive play, do that too. At least then it's another body. At least you can try and build some sort of wall. But they kept speaking about islands. They left Mike Jarrell on an island against Jared Verse, and it kept happening, and it kept happening, and it kept happening, and they did nothing about it.
Yeah, they weren't even.
It seems as though.
I mean, they did a couple times, but like at least try.
Yeah,
like put a wide receiver in the slot and try and chip him. If you're not going to put a tight end there, at least just try and chip him and slow him down just that little bit. Buy Gino that half a second that he needs, but they just wouldn't. They didn't. I don't like Scott Huff. I don't like what he's doing with the offensive line. The talent isn't there, first of all, but his whole his coaching, the protection plans, they're awful. They're awful.
It's not helping. It's not great at the moment, and it seems as though the planning isn't great either, because they seem to have all their eggs in the George Fant is going to play this game and he's going to be fine basket, and they had no backup plan for if he was in, if he had to go out. It was like, okay, well, Mike, you have to play. I'm sorry, you just have to. You're going to have to do the exact same thing. We're going to give a 5-6 year veteran George Fant no protection because he'll be able to look after himself. You've been in 3 games. You're going to have to do the same thing. Yeah. It boggled my mind. And it was just, as soon as the ball was snapped, you could see the pocket collapsing straight away.
Yeah. It's instant pressure. Like you can you can complain about Gino all you want, and again, he deserves his blame. But like, if you're facing instant pressure almost every snap, what can you do? Like, Mahomes isn't going to survive in that situation. The best quarterbacks in the league, they're not going to survive in that situation. They just can't.
No, they're not at all. They're really not. But let's move off then from the Rams game. Look, it sucks. Teams 4-5. You know, it's getting to the stage the last few years where, for me personally, I don't know about you, Al, but the 49ers games obviously are the rival games. Would love to beat the 49ers and everything, but for me, it's Sean McVay and the Rams. I am sick to death of Sean McVay and the Rams coming in to Lumen Field and beating the Seahawks, or even if they have a crap season with everybody injured who actually matters, they still manage to beat the Seahawks. And I'm sick of it. I just need them to start beating the Rams again.
At least, like, we have an excuse with the 49ers. We haven't been very good for the past few years, but the 49ers have been this juggernaut.
Yeah.
The Rams,
the 49ers excuses
don't have.
Yeah.
The Rams don't have that. They haven't been a juggernaut. They've been pretty mediocre. And even this year, like, everyone's an IR. Like, they've traded players. Like, they're a shell of what they were even last year. And they still managed to come back and beat us. And especially in the way they did. Like, if they were just better than us, surprising, but fine. But it was just such a painful way to lose. You know, taking it to overtime, them getting that last minute touchdown, and then getting that touchdown in overtime. It was just such a painful way to lose because it was such a winnable game. Should have won that game, even with all the mistakes. Take away one of those picks. Like, take away one drive, like one flag, one mistake, and it can go another way. But it was, you could see it coming. You were just like, oh, it's gone to overtime. I know how this is going to go. I can see how this is going to go. The offense isn't going to go anywhere. They're going to make mistakes. We're going to get a fucking heartbreaking bomb from Stafford, I bet. And then what happened?
Yeah. Well, look, this is a problem that we're going to face coming after the bye as well, because we, in theory, have played the easier half of our schedule.
Yeah.
Because there's only one team that's left to face in our schedule that has a losing record, and that includes 2 games against Arizona, the game against San Francisco. We also have to go to Chicago. We're going to have to entertain the Vikings. We're entertaining the Green Bay Packers. Going to the Jets is the only game against a team with a losing record at the moment. And who knows what Jets are going to show up at that stage too.
And the Jets defense is pretty nice. So.
Look, you got
their defensive line.
You got Quinnen Williams and Will McDonald going up against that offensive line.
Gino's going to get sacked 10 times in that game.
God, stop.
And then you have the secondary. They're probably going to pick him off another 10 times as well.
Yeah. But let's move on, actually, while we speak about Gino. And we're going to move on to, because we're into the bye, we are going to pick out a few things we want to see coming out of the bye week, and some things we'd like the team to work on. And the first thing I want to see the team work on is red zone offense. For me, it's been an eye test problem I've seen the last couple of years with the Seahawks offense when it comes to the red zone. Unless they're rushing it in for a touchdown from the 1-2 yard line, there has been problems. Which, you know, I'm still trying to figure out what's at fault. I'm trying to figure out, is it Gino? I'm trying to figure out if it's the O-line. I'm trying to figure out if it's the coaching. I think I'm ruling out the coaching because in my research today, so I've had a look at, in terms of red zone efficiency in the Seahawks, in terms of scoring as well. So the Seahawks this year are, I have it right here. Where are they? They're 23rd in the league with a 52% efficiency in the red zone. Okay. Last year, they were. Can you guess?
I know they were good, but not.
No,
They
they weren't.
started off really well. I
Yeah,
remember
no,
they
they weren't.
started off really well,
Yeah.
but then
26th
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
with
I
a
remember though the first like 4 or 5 weeks or something.
yeah,
Like we every red zone trip we scored,
yeah.
and then
So
and then it just fell off.
currently they are 23rd. Last year they were 26th. So I guess that's an improvement, right? The reason why I'm ruling out coaching is who's the highest scoring team in the red zone this year?
It's not the fucking Bears or something, is it?
It's the Chicago Bears
God damn it!
with Mr. Shane Waldron calling plays.
And he hasn't been good, which is surprising. Like he's been
Yeah,
objectively bad play caller this year,
yeah.
so
Well,
that's
not when
really
it comes to the
surprising.
red
Well,
zone.
I knew because you were asking me it was the Bears,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
really surprising.
In terms of those same efficiencies, in terms of percentages, so like I mentioned, the Seahawks are currently 23rd with a 52% efficiency rate when it comes to the red zone scoring. Chicago are fourth with 65% as well.
That's
So it's
annoying.
not just being the highest scorers; they're quite efficient when they get into the red zone too. Gino this year in the red zone has thrown 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions with a completion rate of 47%.
Yeah,
There is a Geno Smith problem in the red zone. It's not being addressed,
yeah, yeah.
and it
Like
has to be addressed.
yeah, yeah. Like again, like offensive line terrible, no time to do anything. But yeah, he hasn't been good. Like there's a clear difference between Gino outside of the 20 and Gino
Mm-hmm.
inside of the 20.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it when he doesn't have the whole field to work with. I don't know, and it's not a hard thing to fix. Hey, you have three pretty fucking good wide receivers, in the short game. DK
Yeah.
can overpower people. JSN and Tyler Lockett are route technicians. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can win pretty easily. All you have to do is, and they have, in fairness, given Gino some of that. Not enough, but they have, and he hasn't
Mm-hmm.
capitalized on it when he should.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there's the picks. He just comes up every now and again and just throws the dumbest pass
Yeah.
to absolutely nobody but the opposing team. It's I don't know. It's like he gets confused sometimes and just sees a person and throws it to them.
Yeah. Well, like I think but why I'm not fully blaming Gino on it, because what I've noticed as well with teams when they get into the red zone against the Seahawks, they are just leaving their 4 down linemen to rush because they know that that's all they need to get past this O line to get at Gino.
Yeah.
So that means you have 7 men in coverage. So that means obviously it makes it in a shorter field. It makes it an awful lot harder for Gino to find an open man, and it gets a lot harder for guys to get open in that. So I'm not putting all the blame on Gino.
Yeah.
But it's not. I can't give all the blame. There is a combination of things. And look, Ryan Grubb's play calling this year hasn't been great either. So there is still this terrible cocktail of stuff on offense that needs to be sorted out, and that's what we need to. That needs to be worked on in this bye week.
Yeah, I mean we've seen improvements from Grubb. I mean, especially from the likes of the real early weeks with the Lions game, and where he was getting Gino to throw 40 plus times a game. But we've seen that come down because he realizes this is the NFL and you can't do that. You can't just throw 40 times and bully defenses. The worst defense is just going to cop on, and just go too high or three high, and take the picks that you give them. So he is he is making changes. At least there's been improvements, but at the very least he is changing and adapting, and trying out new things. Like I said, at the start, that's a lot of what this year is going to be, is changing and figuring things out, figuring out what does and doesn't work with your personnel.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of this stuff as well is and it's hard to put it all on John Schneider for the personnel that he has drafted, because of course most of that is for a Pete Carroll team.
Mm-hmm.
But that still is the personnel that John Schneider has drafted. Of course the head coaches have their have the ways, but it's John Schneider who is drafting those players. So and especially for the offensive line and his comments on the offensive line,
he's really regretting that. I bet
I
he's
bet
getting
he's
beaten with a
not.
stick.
I
He's
bet
getting beaten with a
he doesn't
stick.
even fucking notice.
Oh no, he listens. He definitely listens to stuff. It's been pointed out numerous times by various Seahawks media and stuff like that they've talked to John, and John has mentioned a show that they've done weeks beforehand, so he does listen to it.
Okay. It's like, hey, John, how do you feel about being completely wrong about the offensive line? Like, an idiot. How do you feel about that?
Like, absolutely, yeah.
I think,
I feel like
not in so many words, but like, yeah, I think it's time to really start pushing on him. It's like, hey, remember this thing you said about the offensive line? And hey, remember how the offensive line performed this year? Are you going to change your tune on that now that you've been proven completely wrong on that?
Mm-hmm. But see, I hope now that he doesn't
just
go
and take
a full 180. Yeah. And he ends up reaching for shit guards because he has to prove a point.
Yeah.
That, like, don't waste picks on things to prove a point and stuff. Find the right guys, or get like a better scouting network, or listen to scouts maybe that you haven't before. I don't know, but something has to change in that sense. Al, what is your one thing that you want to see coming out of this bye week?
Mainly players getting healthy. I really need to see some like Abe Lucas news, because he might save our season. Because
a lot. It's a lot of pressure to put on a right tackle.
I can take guards being bad, but a whole like four, actually all five, but like Charles Cross is doing his best to carry this offensive line, and not much Williams can do.
Well, he could learn to snap the ball better.
Well, yeah, I mean, but he hasn't
just
been complete.
Just a thought,
It's
do your job better.
It's a sad thought that he is the best center we've had in years.
Yeah,
but
I know, and he's still struggling.
Yeah, no, but I do need to see changes on both sides of the ball. I need to see, real changes, not just we'll play, a slightly different. Like, I want to see them make real changes to both scheme and personnel on things that aren't working. I don't want to see Trey Brown out there getting fucking bullied. Because he's not good.
Get bullied. He's on the bench.
Well, yeah, exactly. They have done that, but I don't want to see stuff like that. I want to see some changes. I'd like to see them get some guard off the couch, and there's not very good guards in free agency, but there are some, and they can't, like, just literally anyone who's not going to get a flag every other play. I need to see some changes. I need to see some personnel changes. I can't see it, just with the with the personnel packages they have on offense and just the offensive line getting bullied.
Yeah.
Small changes will only get you so far. There needs to be some big changes because you're struggling. It's not working. You have now lost 3 games, 2 of which you should have won. I can understand the Bills game. That was ugly and it was hard to watch, but the Bills are a contender this year. I don't know if they'll go all the way, but they are going to contend for it. They are a very good team. We lost that game. It's fine. I don't mind losing to just objectively better teams. But we're losing games where we should win them. You know, you go out and you dominate Atlanta somehow, and then
I don't get. Just
like Atlanta are terrible.
As the weeks have gone on, that result is just more and more of an anomaly, and I just don't understand.
Atlanta aren't very good. You know what it is.
They're
we did so well because they have a fucking anemic pass rush.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this is what the offense can look like when Gino isn't pressured every 5 seconds. You know?
Yeah. Going back to the line though, and I know you're saying you need to see big changes and stuff, but that's the thing. I think it's a case that it's not what fans are going to want to hear, but I foresee things getting an awful lot worse before they get better because you're not able to. Well, first of all, the trade deadline window is closed, so they haven't made a trade for any guard.
Yeah.
So that means they are stuck with what they have, unless, like you said, they find someone on the couch that no other team has found before and can turn into not even an all-pro guard. Doesn't even have to be a good guard, a serviceable guard.
There's, I can't, like, Bradford is so bad. I can't imagine getting someone off the couch is going to be worse.
See, yeah,
like someone who's not gonna get flagged every other play. That's all we need.
See, this is the thing.
Because he's already given up. He's already given up, multiple sacks a game. He's already just useless in pass protection. So if we can get someone who's useless in pass protection and isn't going to get flagged every other play, that is an improvement.
I know who it can be, and they already have him in the building.
Who?
Jason fucking Peters. Get that man back on. Get that man back on the active squad.
Yes. Not even kidding. Yes. Sign him to the active roster. Cut Bradford. There. Problem solved. He might allow 6 sacks a game, but he's already allowing 6 sacks a game.
Hey, it's one less. Yeah,
he may not get flagged every other play.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what they're going to do with the guard position. I really don't. I saw some people saying that put Connor Williams back to guard because that's obviously where he was there first before he got asked to be.
But then you have to put Olu at center, and he's clearly not.
Olu's not ready.
No.
But Olu can snap a football. So, but then you're going to. Then you're moving from, and I actually don't particularly think that Connor Williams can play guard because he just looks undersized for me to play guard.
Oh yeah.
So I would worry that he would be thrown around the place.
He's bordering on undersized for center, but
yeah. So
he's bordering on Joey Hunt size.
Yeah. So I don't know about that. But I'm guessing. But what I was going to say is, if you put him at guard, and okay, let's just say it kind of worked. It was definitely not as bad as Bradford, not as bad as Haynes, but still bad. But then you'd start giving out about the center because Olu wouldn't be able to block.
Yeah.
So then they'd be targeting Olu, and then that's instead of Gino getting it from his right side, he's going to be getting it straight up the middle.
Yeah.
And that means he definitely won't have any time to do anything. So, and then you can forget about the run game as well. So,
does Jason Kelsey want to come out of retirement by any chance?
Jason Kelsey is at Joey Hunt level now in his size too.
Jason,
a lot of timber. He has lost a lot of timber since he gave it up.
Give Jason Kelsey 6 weeks to get back in shape, and he would be better.
Yeah.
He would be better.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, I don't think he'd be allowed to play for anyone else other than the Eagles if he came back.
Oh yeah, if he, and especially like the Seahawks, if he played for the Seahawks, if he
Yeah.
came out of retirement to play for the Seahawks, the entire city of Philadelphia would hate him.
Yeah. As fun as that would be, it's just no. I don't think it's going to happen anyway. Not in
Also,
this lifetime.
I don't think he likes the Seahawks. I think he's had some comments about them in the past.
So yeah, it's not going to happen anytime soon. Who else could we get to play center?
I wonder what Max Unger is doing these days.
Yeah, I was going to say, is Alex Mack still playing in the league? Do you think he can come in?
I think
No,
he's
retired.
roster.
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone. No,
is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But look, this is it, and this is what we're gonna have to. All right. What about what's his name? Joey Britt. Think he can come back?
Is he not still with the Browns?
No.
Is he not currently the Browns center?
No,
that's Posick. That's right.
Yeah,
that's annoying. That's really annoying that he's a really good center now.
He's not a good center. He's not.
Well,
he's not.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
he's not a good center.
No,
at
actually,
all.
thinking about this season, no. Yeah.
No.
I'm at it. No, never mind.
No. Yeah,
he was good last year. He was good last year, but this year, no.
No way. But look, listen, I think we're gonna wrap up the show here. Like you said, we have the bye this week, so Seahawks football can't let us down unless, touch wood,
they can always
there's an injury in training or something like that.
They can always.
Yeah. Well, the best thing that could possibly happen is all three NFC West teams lose this week. And
that would be good.
You know, the Niners going to Tampa Bay.
Just the Niners.
Yeah, the Niners going to Tampa Bay is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Who else is there? Where are the other ones this week? Where is my stuff? No, that's wrong week. Week 10, Daragh, please. Thank you. I'm ESPN website. Dolphins at the Rams.
Oh, Kyler might die.
Yeah, the Jets at the Cardinals and the Dolphins at the Rams as well on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, like with Tua back, the Dolphins are playing better, but they're still shit. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyone could win that. I don't know, but the Jets will beat the Cardinals, I think. Because that offensive line is not great. They're not terrible. Like,
yeah,
they're about middle of the pack, but like Quinn Williams is gonna kill them.
You can only hope. Just hopefully Aaron Rodgers doesn't do something to mess up the Jets, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I want to see Aaron Rodgers lose so bad.
Yeah, see,
can a meteor hit the stadium?
Dilemma, isn't it? Can both teams lose?
I think a meteor can hit the stadium, and then we don't have to worry about them anymore.
Hey, look, they had to close the roof last week because it rained in Arizona during the game against the Bears. So that's it. So anything can obviously happen. But listen, Al, really appreciate it. First show on the Irish Seahawks show with you. Always a good time to chat Seahawks. The other lads were getting pissed off they were doing it on the main show, so we'll do our own hour together talking about it. You know, Hopefully it won't be just ourselves now in the future for the next few shows and weeks ahead. Hopefully you can join in with them. You can always comment in the live chat when we do have our live shows. We'll try and do one of these maybe a week or every little bit of time. We'll record some other videos and interviews along the way too. Again, follow us at Seahawks IRE from my own X handle. To chat Seahawks, follow Al at Al McGrath _ to do it there. If you have been watching this on YouTube, we really appreciate it. If you could like this video, if you could subscribe to the channel. Like I said, Under Center Podcast is on the road to 1,000 subscribers. The more followers and views we get on shows like this as well means that the content is worth continuing on, and we really hope that you do like it because we like talking about our own teams just as much as the next person. But until the next Irish Seahawks show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the bye week and try enjoy some football this weekend too.